All right, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. And if we have any late arrivals, we can go ahead and let them in. So I just wanted to thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar series. And today we're going to talk about social impact and how being a social impact shop can help you thrive in any economy. And we have a couple special guests, Dan, Adam, and Stacey Burns, which we'll introduce here in a moment. So just a quick introduction of myself. My name is Cynthia Hadabaugh. I'm the Director of Client Services for Pit Crew. I've been in the auto industry for 16 years now, 15 years at a thriving shop where we were Pit Crew users. And when I learned I had to move, I reached out right to Pit Crew because they totally changed the way we do business. And now I'm here, part of the team. We're also joined by Phil Jackson. So I don't know, Phil, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, good morning. It looks like I need a new shirt as well. I got the same one on in my picture. So
It's all right.
thank you everybody
Do uniform.
for joining. I am similar story to Cynthia. I was a pit crew user at a shop called Wilhelm Automotive. We rolled it out. I was the marketing guy there. Had a great rollout. Big fans of the program, always have been. Came over to the vendor side a few years ago, and then Jeff and I started talking. The updates have been incredible. We got a great program to share. So I'm excited to hear about this. I know it's close to Jeff's heart, close to Cynthia's heart. So, and obviously Stacey and Dan as well do an incredible job of it. So thanks for joining, everybody. Looking forward to getting going.
Awesome. And then speaking of Jeff, we have our founder, Jeff Rudnick here. Jeff, do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Thank you very much. We started this business back in November of 2002. And from the beginning, the idea of giving back and being involved in the community has been at the core of what we do. And we built our entire business around that. We didn't have a real framework to understand what we were doing, in this regard. I don't even know if the term social impact existed back then. But we strive to train our shops and get them to see the wisdom in putting their heart on their sleeve and being involved in their community and really teaming up with their clients and the community as a whole to do good things, and then in turn your business grows very naturally, because when people do good things together, there's like a real spark, a real connection that transcends business. And when I spoke with Dan and Stacey about what they're doing with their social impact efforts, and also to educate the industry and take this a step further and really formalize a social impact plan, not only did I know I wanted our clients to see it, but we're using their expertise to help guide how we build this into our business better. Because we can't do everything, and there's so much I don't understand about this, and I'm excited. We're going on this journey with the shops, with our clients, with the industry, along with the guidance from Dan and Stacey. So we're all in this together. We're going to learn, and I'm excited for it. So I'm going to have, unless Cynthia, you have anything else, I'm just going to turn it over to Dan and Stacey and let them roll.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and introduce, we have Dan Adam with us. Dan, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah, I'm Dan Adam. I founded Adam and Son Auto Repair almost 23 years ago.
Wow.
So yeah, I started out as just like most of the shop owners these days, changing oil, working my way up to being a master tech, and then eventually a shop owner.
Very
Right
good.
on.
And then we also have Stacey Burns. Stacey?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stacey Burns. I've been doing this social impact thing for a couple of decades, and been measuring it for over a decade. And so I'm super excited to be part of the automotive industry now for almost a year. I'll hit a year here in a couple of weeks, and I've learned so much from you all, but hopefully I'll get to share a little bit of what I've been doing for a while with everyone today. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. All right, so just a couple housekeeping tips. Keep yourself muted. We know shops can get loud, but at that same token, if you have a question, feel free to jump in. You can type it in the chat. And then we'll also have a Q&A session at the end. If you want to hold your questions till the end, you can do that as well. We will be sharing some information via chat, some links and some contact information for Dan and Stacey. So if you can, I always say maybe find that chat button right now. It should be on the top of your toolbar and it's got a little like text window. Just kind of keep your eye out for that. All right, so our agenda, again, thanks for joining us this morning. So we're going to talk about what is social impact. Why does it matter to our industry? We're going to talk about finding your why. So what is your why? Why are you in automotive? Why are you here today? The importance of customer engagement and what a social impact can expect as far as results. And then, like I said, we'll have that Q&A at the end. So what is social impact, right? It's a term, kind of a buzz term we're hearing all the time now. And kind of a generic term in general, social impact refers to the positive change a company can make in society through its actions, products, and services. And it's really all about doing good in the community in which you live and work, and just making the world a better place in general. And in a few moments, we're going to hear from Stacey and Dan, and they're going to really define social impact and what it means. They're going to really dig into it in depth so we can focus on it and improve our world together. So why is social impact important? What makes it important to us anyway? Well, studies have shown that customers and employees, right? The industry is having a hard time attracting talent. So what's going to set your shop apart from a shop down the street? Really, it's how you treat your team members and your community. So like I said, studies have shown that customers and employees are increasingly attracted to companies that have a strong social impact strategy. And like I said, it's going to set you apart from your competition. Customers are more likely to trust a company and be loyal to a company that has a strong social impact plan that aligns with their values. So that brings us to the why, right? So what is your company culture? What's your why? What gets you up every morning? Why did you decide to open an auto shop, right? Dan started as a tech. He worked his way up. He was a service advisor. Then he became a shop owner. Why did he do that? Was it just for a paycheck, or was there something beyond that he wanted to accomplish? So those are questions that Stacey's going to kind of explore on and we'll talk about. So what are you passionate about? And start thinking about, what do you love about your business? What are you excited about every day when you go to the shop? What gets you motivated? What gets you going? What inspires you daily? And what inspires you about your community? What tugs at your heartstrings? Go back to creating loyalty. So customer loyalty is all about building a strong connection with your customers. And like I said, we heard that term social impact all the time. It's like a buzzword. And a lot of us are from a different generation. And sometimes it's hard for us to wrap our heads around the concept that people from different generations, from younger generations, make their buying decisions based on a company's social impact. They believe that they want to spend their money with a company that does the greater good in the world and in the community. And sometimes when you think about, younger generation, you think teenagers, 20s, but now these people are in their mid 30s. They're your ideal customers. They're your avatars, and they're making their buying decisions and choosing to do business with you based on that good that you do. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Stacey. Perfect. We can see your screen and everything, Stacey.
Perfect. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Expand you guys so I can see you a little bit better. Dan, do you want me to kick off first? Do you want to say anything to start?
No, why don't you go ahead and dive in to what social impact is.
Okay. So as I mentioned, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I have gone to school for a lot of things, and they didn't teach this way back when I was getting a degree. And so it's fun to be able to talk about it in terms of what's actually current and what's out there, and that it has a whole movement around it. So just as a subset of Cynthia's agenda, she asked us to drill into the details just a little bit more and be able to talk in more depth about some of these topics. So without further ado, let's see, maybe, there we go. So what is social impact? Social impact is a purpose-driven business solving community needs. And so when we look at that, this is something that is truly infused into why the business exists and also how they do business. And so when we think about the companies that it's part of who they are, then we look at companies like Patagonia or Starbucks, and we can go into those details another day, but I want to share with you a video. So this is a company called Bombas. They have been around for just shy of 10 years, I believe. And this video does a really nice job of kind of describing what a social impact business is, how they start, how they do business, why they exist. So social impact is really, I've done this for so long, I forget how much of a tension there is between truly business and doing good. If you're doing this right, there's going to be daily decisions in your business where you are struggling with which one needs to come first. And I'll be honest, it depends on the day. Some days your social impact needs to be out in front, and other days you need to make business decisions that are going to make sure that the business exists to continue doing that good. So it's not an easy thing to do, and I admire leaders that are willing to take this on because it does require a lot of balance and effort. So with that, social impact is not an occasional fundraiser for a specific event or tragedy. It's not the annual coat drive for kids. It's not writing a $5,000 sponsorship check. And it's not a part of the marketing budget that can just be written out when things get tough. And so these are the companies that when you think of really large corporations, it's really tough to tell if this is part of why they exist. So when you look at Walmart, they give away more money than most foundations in the entire world. But I know a lot of folks, when they think about Walmart, they're not thinking about generosity or philanthropy. There's a different perception. When you look at Coca-Cola, they do a lot for clean water across the globe. But they're also, potentially, depending on how you look at it, giving sugar water and trying to integrate that into young people's lives very, very early on, so that becomes a lifestyle. But the best example I have of this is when you go to Target, and Target donates 5% for education. They put it up on all their walls, and they're very proud of it. They actually list the schools that they work with in their local areas. But if you ask one of the cashiers why they work at Target, nobody says it's because they're doing 5% back. It's that incorporation into your culture, into who you are, into why you exist, into how you do business every day that stands out and makes you a social impact company. So why social impact? So Cynthia gave some really great examples of why this is important. And I'm just going to give you a little more detail and some citations on those. So 8 in 10 executives feel that business has the scale, speed, and acumen to solve today's most pressing problems. When we look at things like homelessness or at-risk youth or incarceration, and we look at what we've done to mitigate those issues, I would say, depending on the day, but most days we're going to find that it's tough to argue that we're making progress on some of those things. And so when we start to look at how business is required to be innovative, or business is required to, it exists to solve problems, what if we put business on the job of helping solve some of these issues? And then 9 in 10 executives believe that business must benefit all stakeholders. And so a stakeholder is that person that buys from you, Stakeholders have started to be perceived as your team members, so those folks that you go to work with every day. But stakeholders, in a very broad definition, those are also the folks that are impacted by your business decisions, and maybe never ever buy a thing from you or interact with you on a business sense. And so I give the example of, there's a company that is doing great things in the community, but on Sundays they dump their toxic waste into the river behind them. That company's stakeholders are all the people that are affected by how that water is affected, because they are affected by how that company does business. And so there's a lot of different ways to view that term, but you see executives really starting to expand who actually has a vested interest in how you run your business. And then we look at how consumers shop. So I realize it's super small, but if you Google the IBM, it's the IBM, what is this article? Oh, it's their 2022 consumer report. And so if you look at those purple bars, if you can see them well, there's 4 different types of consumers that have come out of our economy. You've got the product-driven consumers. And so I'm shopping for something because I need it. I go to the grocery store because I need a jug of milk, not because, I want the 5 other things that I inadvertently will buy as I walk down the aisle, but that's why they put the milk at the back, right? You've got brand-driven consumers. And so those are, I'm loyal to a brand. I love Nike. I think they're amazing. I want to support them. That's the only shoe I'll buy. You've got value-driven consumers. So I want to, I'm willing to pay a little bit more, but I want to make sure that what I'm buying is either going to last a little bit, it's going to last a while. I know where it's been sourced, or I know certain things that are important to me from a value standpoint. And then you've got a purpose-driven consumer that's kind of been gaining traction. And those are the folks that Cynthia mentioned in terms of those younger generations really fit in this bucket very strongly. And to her point, those are the folks in their 35 and 40s and down now. So our middle-aged folks. And they are shopping based on what they find about the company in terms of transparency, their purpose, their environmental goals, their social impact goals from a community standpoint, and are they sharing it? If they have to go dig for it, then they're probably going to assume it doesn't exist. And so putting those things out there becomes really, really important. But the purpose of this slide is to show you that in 2020, the purpose-driven consumers were actually 40% of consumers, and value-driven was holding the place at the top that it's held for a very long time at 41%. In 2021, that shifted, and purpose-driven gathered the 41%, and value-driven fell. And then just last year, purpose-driven continued to gather market share, with 44% of consumers are looking for that purpose. And so those folks, the more they shop, the more you're going to see these trends continue to adjust. So.
And I don't know if you have this in your presentation as well, but the research that we've done also shows that team members, employees, are attracted to this as well. So you create multiple benefits simply by highlighting and being involved at this level of what's important to you, what's important to your community. It attracts all kinds of good things back to your business.
Jeff, it's like you read my mind or had my slide deck or something. Yeah, actually the next slide discusses exactly that. So Deloitte does a lot of research, and when they look at the top things that actually can drive business value, the first is brand differentiation. I always say there are no mature markets in social impact fields. There's plenty of people that have been doing what you are doing for years. There are not it is not a full market of people who are doing it with social impact. To Jeff's point, talent attraction and retention, this is a huge piece of especially what our industry is struggling with at this point, right? Assuming that's across the nation, trying to attract and retain solid techs, service advisors, and even leadership. We really need
and this
to
is how sorry to interrupt. This is how Phil and Cynthia ended up coming to Pit Crew.
Yeah, it really is.
This was
Yeah.
it in a nutshell.
No, it can make a difference. It gets people to apply. It helps them say yes when you make a job offer, but it also helps them stay, which is huge. Innovation, if you've got a leader like I do that has about 1 million ideas every minute, this is a great place to put that innovation into making the community better. Operational efficiency, risk mitigation, capital access, and market valuation. If you Google impact investing, Google is inundated, flooded with the number of companies that are looking to invest in this type of business, whereas that wasn't even a term 5 years ago, which is interesting. I'm sure it was, but it wasn't something Google was pulling 500 search results for. So
I have sort of firsthand knowledge of automotive repair shops, 1, 2, 3 locations that are
Mhm.
getting significantly higher value when they sell to private equity because of their involvement in their community and and doing things like this. So it does move the needle in many regards. Sorry, I keep interrupting. Keep going.
No,
no,
it's
it's
great.
great. And then the last slide in terms of data, and then I think I turn it over to Dan, but Larry Fink, who's the chairman and CEO of BlackRock. So the way it's been described to me, because this is above my head, but if your financial advisor is the one that's selling you the car or your financial package, Larry's the one building it. So he speaks on behalf of millions of investors. I just read yesterday they are now a $9 billion company. When I started being aware of Larry, they were a $4 billion company. So they have grown very, very quickly in the last 5 or 6 years. But he writes a letter to the Fortune 500 CEOs basically every year. And in 2020, his comment was a strong sense of purpose and commitment to stakeholders helps a company connect more deeply and is ultimately an engine of long-term profitability. In 2022, he ups the stakes for that, and he kind of gets a little stronger every year. If you look at all of his letters are listed on the BlackRock site. Stakeholder capitalism is not about politics. It is not a social or ideological agenda. It is not woke. It is capitalism driven by mutually beneficial relationships between you and the employees, customers, suppliers, and communities your company relies on to prosper. This is the power of capitalism. So this guy who's in charge of $9 billion worth of your money and money around the nation is saying that this is important and it has nothing to do with an agenda. It is not a trend. This is the way our world needs to work. So I think I switch to Dan now. You're on mute, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Right. You know, for us, social impact is really something that we look at as a long-term investment and program for us. And what we want to kind of avoid is the idea that when you install social impact in your companies, that it's an advertising tool that will create instant card count and that kind of stuff. This is really just about social impact being who we are as a company. You know, if you think about, you've got to have everything else in your business lined up and doing well before you start bringing in that social impact. And by that, I mean, you've got to have good customer service. You've got to have a good product. You got to be able to have technicians that know what they're doing. And you have to have a reputation in your community that you are the professional. So when you start adding in that layer of social impact, it magnifies what you're already doing. If you want to go to the next slide, Stacey. So for us, our social impacts, what we're best known for is our Stranded Motorist Fund. And that is a program we started back in 2020 that we just saw a tremendous need for people who could not afford to fix their vehicles. And I'm sure all shop owners deal with this. You just run into this over the years. And one of the most difficult jobs for the service advisor is delivering bad news. That's what we do all day long. But when you start to see it in their eyes, the customer's eyes, that they just can't afford to fix that car, they start crying. It's hard on us. So at the time, we had a service advisor that we were training, and she asked the question, what do we do if they can't afford to fix their cars? So we asked her to go out and research what options are out there. Because we went through the typical stuff, offer financing, check with your neighbors, maybe they're attached to a church, something like that. Well, she went out and researched it and came back, and there are no resources. So I went out and I did the same research and came back with the exact same thing. There are no resources out there. And that's how the Stranded Motorist Fund started, is we realized we needed to do something about this. Since 2020, the Stranded Motorist Fund, we've been able to give back, I'd say 7 vehicles and about $130,000 in services, somewhere around there. But Stranded Motorist Fund is not social impact by itself. There's got to be a way that the business, by doing good, helping others, is beneficial to the business as well. It can't be just one-sided here. And by the way, when you get into social impact, keep this in mind, is it's got to be genuine. You really got to want to do this for the right reasons. And I'll re-emphasize the fact that it just can't be a marketing ploy. Next slide, Stacey. So our social impact actually started years before the Stranded Motorist Fund. I just didn't know what social impact was at the time we started these programs. It started back when my kids were in the Colorado Springs Children's Corral, and they were asked to raise money for tuition costs and travel expenses for the group. And so we were supposed to go out and sell butter braid pastries and poinsettias to raise money. And the return on investment was ridiculous in that, we were selling these for $10 a piece and the corral was getting $4. And that's when I realized there's got to be a better way we can support local business and help these organizations raise money. And so that's when we came up with our trifecta oil change program, in which these organizations get to keep 80% of what they sell. We would donate these packages, and then the other 20% goes to the Stranded Motorist Fund. And so now it's not just the Children's Corral that we're helping in our community. We have dozens of organizations, charities, clubs, from the local high school basketball teams, Boy Scouts, you name it. And you look at it from, yes, we're spending money donating these oil changes, but think about what your typical acquisition cost is going to be for a customer and how much it costs you to do a free oil change. But think about the type of customer that you're bringing in. When you have a loss leader oil change coming in, you're attracting a bottom feeder that is more likely to leave you a bad review because you just told them they need $2,000 worth of work, versus somebody that comes in because they want to support your organization because you're supporting theirs. A lot more tolerant, and just they love what we're doing. So there's a lot of benefits to this kind of programs. The other thing that we've added in there, one of the things that we try to avoid is somebody coming in, getting a free oil change, and then going to their regular mechanic and having our recommendations done there. So the way we solve that problem is that any additional services they have done with us, we will donate 5% in perpetuity to their organization. And that's another huge reason they want to stick around and support us. Next slide. So we also developed pay it forward programs. And the idea behind this is that when somebody comes into our shops with a discount program, a discount coupon, or in our area, we're heavily military area, so we have military discounts. What we'll do is we have different organizations we support where if they're willing to pay it forward, their discount to an organization such as the Stranded Motors Fund, or what we're doing for the military here is we support the Angels of America's Fallen, an organization that supports the children of the fallen. Pretty cool organization. They are nationwide, by the way. If they are willing to pay it forward their discount, we'll match their donation to that organization, and that same 5% in perpetuity still applies. So this is just another one of our social impact programs. Go ahead, Stacey. We have also created what we call the Follow the Heart program. And this is one that's specific for organizations that need a little extra help, such as the Fire Foundation in our area, or even Angels of America's Fallen that I just mentioned. And the idea is they can go out and hit up their community with $25 off coupons to our organization, and we will donate, same concept. If they pay it forward their discount, we'll match it the same 5%. And so what it does is it creates a whole nother area of customers that we would have never had an opportunity to deal with through these organizations that need our support. And we're adding more and more of these. Go ahead, Stacey. So I want to talk about culture for just a minute here, in that I keep talking about how this has got to be genuine. Well, that's got to be the same case with your staff, is they have to understand why you're doing all this. And what ended up happening for us is by instituting this social impact program on top of our company culture, we ended up weeding out the people that didn't believe in what we're doing and attracted the ones that had the same mindset as us. And it is so cool to see how excited our staff is about our company. And same thing goes for me personally. When years ago, if I met somebody, the typical question is what do you do for a living? And my answer would be, I own a couple auto repair shops, and that's the end of the story. Well, now when somebody asks me what I do for a living, well, I own a couple social impact auto repair shops, and the conversation just takes off. And the same thing goes for our staff, is they talk about their, what do they do for a living? And a lot of times they didn't really even want to admit that they worked for an auto shop. And now they're excited to talk about what their auto shop is doing. Company culture, I could do a whole topic on the way we operate our company culture, but I talk about the fact that if we're going to have, hang on a second, let me think about this one. We've got a service manager or store manager here that was being poached by another shop. And this other shop also had a good company culture. But what this other shop did not have was social impact. And so when this shop was trying to poach our store manager, I think his exact words were, there's absolutely no way in hell I'm leaving this company. So there's just a huge component of attracting and retaining talent. I just mentioned the retaining part, the retention, but look at the attraction side of it. Is when we do interviews, we conduct interviews, first thing that we do when we're setting up the interview is we ask whoever it is that's going to apply for the job to go to our website and review our company culture fundamentals and pick out 3 that they feel like they excel at and 3 of areas of improvement. But when they're on the website, what they're doing is they're seeing all of our social impact. So right away, it's starting to click what our company is about. So when they do come in for that interview, we can determine very quickly if they're going to be a good culture fit. And we're bringing in the people that are excited about social impact. Go ahead, Stacey.
You all are joining us today because we were talking about surveys. So I'll jump in and talk about those really quick, and then Dan's going to let you know what our next innovation is. But really quickly, as I mentioned, I've been doing measurement of social impact for a little over a decade. I'm one of the few people in the nation that actually does it with a certain technique. But one of the things we've implemented is a guest survey, and really finding out what's important to our guests, what do they value when they come in the door. And so just to give you an example of some of the questions, overall, how would you rate your experience? We got an 8 out of 10. What about the quality of our customer service? We got a 9 out of 10. Quality of our services, did we actually address the need for why you came in? How was our timeliness? That's an 8 out of 10. And the quality of our environment, which is a 9 out of 10. Folks need to be comfortable when they come into your shop and know that they can be welcome and comfortable waiting if they're going to wait. But the cool part that came out of this, and I try not to be the researcher that gets ahead of it and guesses at what the results are going to be, but we have done very little marketing for our social impact. We've obviously reached out to certain folks and we've built it through word of mouth over the years, but we've just started actually talking about it in the sense of some news and media attention we've gotten recently. But 6 out of 10 of our customers said that they shop with us because of our social impact. And so we look forward to reporting back to you at some point that number has grown even more. But if 60% of our customers find us and stay with us for that reason, that's huge. And to Cynthia's point in the kind of survey description, or the description of the seminar today, this can definitely be a way to keep you solid and stable through those lean times, for sure. And then the last one I'll mention is that net promoter score. How likely are you to refer a friend or family member? And we got an 8.2, so we are right on the cusp of that raving fan 9 or 10. And we'll be there next time we chat, we promise. But we're excited that that's what we're seeing in terms of our survey results. So, Dan?
Okay, so we are in the process of building out our consulting company called Automotive Impact Network. And the idea behind this is that the stuff that I presented today is kind of a small portion of what social impact is and what the capabilities of social impact are. So we're going to go out and teach other shops how to do what we're doing. And it's really fascinating that this stuff that we're talking about for the automotive industry, the industry is ripe for this. We are in a position that we can make a change in our communities. And this kind of stuff that we're doing right now applies to all kinds of industries. And it's just really neat that we are positioned to do some incredible stuff. And so, yes, we're gonna teach other shops how to do what we're doing.
That's
That is,
awesome, guys.
yeah, so awesome to hear.
I just wanted to
It-
comment real quick. During the toughest time, every business owner, I'm going to turn my camera back on. You know, we all go through these incredibly difficult times when we're growing our business, running our business. There's moments where you wonder if you're going to make it. There's moments if you wonder if it's worth it. All kinds of things happen because your personal life is happening at the same time that your business is evolving. Having this why, this is what kept me going. 100%, no doubt. This is what kept and attracted all of the employees. Brenda will tell you that's why she's here and didn't leave during the lean times. Larry, our CTO, could go almost anywhere he wanted. He will not leave this company because of this purpose, this mission that we have. And we're learning as we go. And these strategies that Dan has come up with, and when he says you have to feel it and believe it and be doing it for the right reasons, it doesn't work if you don't. It
Mhm.
pure and simple, it doesn't. But our software has evolved to the point that we can track these things that Dan is talking about. These packages that he laid out, those things can be tracked and make it easier to do this because the devil's in the details. So as you get further along, and I hope that you guys talk more with Dan and Stacey about it, just know that we're here to support you in that. And that's real. I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you guys are talking about. And it gives a real reason to keep doing what we do. And I appreciate you bringing some focus to it. Dan and Stacey, because it's easy it's really easy to get confused on how to implement all this stuff and make it work. And you can't do it without somebody guiding you. And where I've been stuck is I can't guide my software company and guide this. And I think I found a couple of people that know how to guide this. So that's it. Go ahead, however you want. I don't know, Cynthia, how you planned on wrapping up.
Well, yeah, I did want to add that the survey really is what prompted us to have this joint webinar, because they found out that 6 out of 10 of their customers do business because of the social impact. It really kind of just validated, like Jeff said, what we already knew, and using our tools to contact their customers was exciting. So I know that we have busy weeks ahead, so I just wanted to share a few takeaways. Hopefully you can see my screen again. Give me a thumbs up if you can. Perfect. Okay. So like Stacey and Dan said, you really need to find your why. What's your purpose? What do you want to focus on? And in the situation of Adam and Son, it just kind of came upon them, right? A service advisor told them, hey, what can we do to help this customer? And they found the meaning. They found their why. I know we have another shop on here, Gustafson Brothers. Their why is getting youth in automotive. They have a nonprofit foundation where all they focus on is scholarships, buying tools, getting internships for youth. So find your why. And then you need to communicate that. Once you have it down, once you have it written, once you have a plan down, you need to communicate that why with your team, and they need to understand it, and they need to believe in it, and they need to know it and be able to repeat it back to you. And that kind of touches on what Stacey said, where if you go to Target and you ask, a Target team member about their nonprofit or how do they give back to the community, they probably don't know. Probably the same thing at Walmart, maybe even Starbucks. They don't understand the why or the mission of the company. And it's important to be unified as a team in order to be successful. Find out how you want to give back, plan out your next steps, create the plan, and most importantly, ask for help. Like Jeff said, we're a software company, so we're not experts in social impact. We know it's the right thing to do. We know we want to do it, but don't be afraid in life to reach out and ask for help. For all of us, to collaborate and work together as a team, because when your shop is better, the industry is better. And most importantly, let's make it fun and exciting and execute it. So we can attend webinars and talk about it, but if we don't execute it, it's never going to work. So let's just get those next steps going and execute this. And I don't know if Dan or Stacey have anything to add. Otherwise, we're just going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. Anybody?
Can we, Dan and Stacey, are you guys ready to, should we be giving your contact information? Do you want anyone who watches this to be able to reach out to you and get involved with what you're offering?
It looks like she already did.
Good.
Oh no, that was the YouTube video. Just kidding. And it looks like we do have a question coming in as well.
Was on the last slide that I shared, but yes, I can put those in the chat as well.
Great.
Perfect. And the video, which is a very great, good video on the company that donates the socks. I forget their name, but Stacey put that in there. And then we had a comment from Trish. She's all for social impact with the thumbs up. So
right on.
If there are no other questions or comments, we'll go ahead and end it for today. And then we'll send a follow-up with all the contact information. Actually, I won't, looks like Stacey's typing that in right now. So give her a moment. And if we're going to continue our webinar series every month. So if you have any ideas or any topic that you want to hear about, go ahead and throw it in the chat or reach out to us. And Stacey has the emails for both herself and Dan in there. I see one more comment coming. Maybe. Oh, no, it just says thank you all. All right. Well, you guys have a fantastic week and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.